Okay, let's go.
Hello, 5 weeks. I can't believe it. Hi, Antoinette. How are you doing? How after this
Hi,
operation?
Louise. Yeah, it feels like 5 years. It feels like a very long
Does
time.
it's weird.
I'm very happy
How's-
to be back. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I've missed our people. I hope they've missed us.
Yes, let us know. It would be good to
Yes,
know.
please let us
Yeah, I
know.
didn't realize I'd missed doing this until I felt so excited about it tonight.
Yes, yeah, I've done two since you went away for the op. Um, but while I was doing the limiting beliefs challenge, I've decided to just give all my energy to that. Oh, I forgot to let them know that we're doing this. Ah, la la. Okay, how's the knee?
No, it's coming along. A long, slow, hard process, not for sissies, but lots of gifts and lessons. So yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, I think we must
Yeah.
talk about it some other time too. Okay,
hmm
so we are tonight. We're going for the big one: relationships.
Yeah.
Yes, it's it's amazing because it's really in relationships that we do our last healing, but nobody understands it until we get into the relationship and we think it's so wonderful and I feel so complete and I feel so like it's so wonderful and starry-eyed and bang. And then these are little things that starts happening. Um, so I wonder, um, we're having this conversation after the one that I had last week with Sarah, I think, and not everybody could watch it because it's in the group, but it comes basically down to all our triggers, all our abandonment triggers are raw and exposed inside a relationship. If we're not really committed to something, those triggers are not alive. You know, that thing of single people who say, I'm fine. I don't really need a relationship and I've worked on myself and I feel good about myself. Oh my God. And the next minute you go into a relationship and you go like, what just happened here? Right?
I know why I was single for so long and why I wanted to stay single, actually. But it is in relationship that, yeah, it is the ultimate place. And that's why it had to happen for me because I'd already got a long way there on my own. And I got into this relationship, and this time it was not a dysfunctional, sociopathic, narcissistic man. It was a good man. So, of course, that was the perfect ground for my stuff to play out, actually, because there was real kindness and caring and intimacy. So, what happened on my side after that is astounding, actually. And it took me a long time to figure out what was going on, actually. But all my adult child patterns played out. And actually, that one session you and I had about my relationship, the one thing you brought to me, which was really helpful, was I just don't feel safe, actually, because this is the real thing now. There's real proper potential for proper bonding and intimacy. And I've been running a mile. I mean, I haven't physically run, we're living together, but internally, on reflection, I've just been running, I think.
Because of exactly what you're saying there. There is the possibility of real connection. And that, to the human mind, to that, the small child inside us means there's the possibility of real loss and heartbreak. because
But Louise, my upbringing and belief system, the story I've told myself my whole life is love hurts. That's it, full
yes,
stop. And
that's what I was about to say. One of your
yeah,
most
every relationships I've had, a relationship I had for 15 years confirmed that. So that was just such an ingrained belief system in me. And now to undo that and realize that I'm now hurting myself actually by messing this up.
yeah. You see, one of our very hidden limiting beliefs is that the people we love the most are the ones who will hurt us the most. So we
Yes.
try not to love the most. We try to love as little as possible. We try. Look, we're basically in two camps. People who get overcommitted like super fast, like boom, boom, I'm in. I'm not holding back. I'm like in. All 8 feet of the octopus is there. And people who are very careful because of this huge fear inside. And both of them are not healthy. And very often the two gets together, the octopus and the runner.
Imagine an octopus running with all those legs.
No. It's hard to run when there's an octopus holding on to you. Let me see.
Yeah, it's the truth. And also you start seeing yourself in 12D. I mean, if you're on your own, you see yourself in 3D or 5D, and you get into a relationship, and those things you think you've healed, and some things you didn't even know still needed healing. Because I've never been in a functional relationship actually my whole life, except in my early 20s. But I ended all of those, and got into all these other. So sure, it's shown me myself, and I tell you what, it hasn't been easy to look at.
Did you end the good ones when you were young?
Yes.
Okay, were they boring?
Yes.
Were they boring?
Oh, I just kept on moving on. I'm so ashamed to say, Louise, it's been one of my biggest forgiveness processes I've had to do. I had amazing men. I was engaged 4 times and married once. And I had amazing men, kind, amazing, intelligent, successful. Well, they're successful now. We were still young then. And I just kept on moving on. I'd get bored. It would be a year or 2 years, my jobs and my relationships. And then I'd be moving on. I'd find another man who liked me. And I would just move on. I mean, it was brutal when I think back.
Yeah, but a lot of people do that. Especially,
Really?
no, you know what? It's a weird thing when you haven't grown up in normal circumstances. You like the bad boys. You go for the bad boys because you feel valid. You feel valuable. You feel like you're making a contribution because you get a project to fix. And so and it's exciting. It's exciting. The bad boys, it feels a little bit illegal. So it's exciting. And then we're like, why are you so hard work? Yeah, because I chose you.
And I think the other thing about choosing the bad boys, if I reflect back, because I had a lot of relationships. I was married for a very short time and I had quite a lot of relationships in my life. Is I chose the bad boys also for 2 other reasons. They would not emotionally commit. They were emotionally distant. Oh, by the way, I had one guy who wasn't a bad boy. He was just emotionally distant. He never had any of the other narcissistic issues, but he was non-committal emotionally because of his own upbringing. So, firstly, they were all non-committal, and secondly, because most of them were so bad, it just perpetuated that cycle of mine of feeling bad about myself and being treated badly and not feeling good enough. And then I kept on trying to change myself and please them more. And we became more and more codependent till eventually it explodes. And then you never see the person again.
Yeah, and look, there's various reasons for this. It's not one simple thing. Why don't we go after somebody worthy of us? Well, first of all, because we don't know that we are worthy. And secondly, we don't know that we are supposed to have wants and needs. And thirdly, we don't have enough self-esteem to actually see ourselves as awesome and to attract the right kind of person into our life. So it's all of those things, but it's such a big thing if we find a project that looks like the project needs fixing. It's like such a big thing. It's like, wow, it's like super sexy. Let me fix you, Let me find a
Why
purpose
do
in life.
we do that? Why?
Because,
Why do we?
because we grow up codependent. We grow up codependent. We don't grow up loving and respecting ourselves. We grow up finding value and service of others, not in ourselves, the way that we are, just the way that we are. And so we feel important when we can make a contribution, fix something.
That's so interesting because with Jeff, who's my man now, I think in the beginning I felt very frustrated that there was nothing to fix, actually. Subconsciously, it was a subconscious thing, you don't consciously think those things, but it's like...
Nothing. Nobody goes in and say, hello, let me go to the hardware shop and go and see which one is a nice doer-upper. Nobody does that. That's not, but it's the keeper is the one who's the doer-upper. You can date a variety, but if you find the doer-upper, it's ticket, sister, you're done. And it works the other way too. There are some men who wants to have somebody that they can protect, that they can feel strong and wonderful about, and they can say, I'm the man and I'm protecting this woman and I'm there for her and I'm caring for her. Like that is the role that men see themselves in. That's the traditional role that men are brought up to be, like the rescuer, carer, lost the word, the strong man who's there for the woman, So when we take those roles away, that's when things go very wrong, and especially in modern life where those roles doesn't exist anymore. We've got a much more equal society, thank heavens for that. And now there's no roles, and we just have to connect as humans. That makes it hard. Okay, so Antoinette, so what's the lessons then? What do we do when we find out that we are... Okay, first of all, let's look at the triggers. So when we have abandonment triggers, then we over control and we punish the other person, whether it is by tartan or passive aggressiveness or withdrawing or outright blaming and shaming. So it's all part of the whole control thing. And so if we don't know how to ask for what we want, then we sit and wait for somebody to fix whatever needs to be fixed by wishful thinking and magic. And then we also become resentful, and we don't understand that we've got a mouth and we need to open it and ask for what we need. And sometimes we're so used to look at the negative stuff that we don't see the positive stuff, or we don't appreciate it. And sometimes we ourselves are scared beyond anything to actually also open up and show our own vulnerability, because we're so used to be strong and take care of ourselves, and we don't think that anybody's ever going to be there for us. So, and then for strong women, there is that thing that I think is the same like for men who are vulnerable. For strong women, there's the thing that you actually have to learn to embrace your strong woman and know that you can have all the sides to you. You can be strong and soft and kind and sexy and strong. And all of them are fine. All of them are fine because they're all parts of you. And don't we go for the same thing with men? Where men need to know they can be strong and vulnerable. Sorry. Looks like another flu. So how does it play out?
How did it play out for me? I can only talk about
Sorry.
Lots of withdrawal. In the beginning, it was withdrawal, physical intimacy, withdrawal, and I couldn't figure it out because most women would kill for a man like this, really considerate and caring, and I just couldn't go there. It was just, and I couldn't figure it out. Actually, it was just like a barrier that was so. And then I started becoming And he kept on saying it's okay. I think what he could have done better is maybe just called me on it. Actually, just say, actually, I need a bit more than this. But he just kept on saying it was okay. And then I started being really bitchy. I think I'm controlling right from the beginning, controlling everything from what we eat to to where the thing goes on the shelf. I mean, it's ridiculous after all the inner work I've done. But and then I became like really bitchy. I'm very embarrassed to admit all of this, actually, but like bitchy and demanding and just like a pain in the ass. Actually, I wouldn't have stayed with myself, to be honest. And I realized already that session we had that it was about feeling safe, but then I couldn't stop it. It's so interesting. You can see yourself playing things out, but I could not stop this pattern actually until now. I went away for 3 weeks. As you know, I spent 3 weeks away while I had this up. Yeah, and it gave me a lot of perspective. So the reason I'm doing this live, because it feels very vulnerable and quite embarrassing, but I think for adult children, females, to know that if they do find that good person, because we so often repeat these codependent relationships, or we stay in one for a very long time. I had multiple, but they were all the same except one person, but he was emotionally distant. And now I get a good one out of the blue in the middle of nowhere, and I could easily have messed it up, actually. I mean, it now has to be repaired, actually. So just to be very aware, I don't know what your advice would be when you go into this kind of thing. Your subconscious program kicks in so hard that you don't even really know what's happening until you reflect back on it and you go, oh my God, I know what's happened here now.
You've got to be very conscious of what you are doing, and you actually have to plan it. You have to repair it. For every time you mess up, you have to repair about 7 or 9 times. You can't just tit for tat. So anybody who's messed up needs to repair about 7 to 9 times before the repair is actually done. So
Really?
yeah, that's the kind of research out there. I can't remember the
What?
exact number, but it is a bit on the high side. Hi, Paul. Um, so look, I've come also from a place of having had to rebuild the relationship from dust. There was nothing, and I was really badly treated, and for a very long time. But also I had wishful thinking and over controlling, and it was only when I realized I couldn't do it anymore, and that I would rather get divorced, that we started working on ourselves. And now I have somebody who's talking to me and who's emotionally responsible and available and really supportive. And it's like amazing. So I'm married to this new guy, and it's great. But we have to be conscious, and we've worked on ourselves for a long time. We started working on ourselves. That's the most important thing. Before you work on a marriage, you have to work on yourself. You have to be happy inside you. So, in a way, you've gone off and you've done this right thing, Antoinette. You've been working on yourself. And we have to ask in the relationship for what we want. We have to have really good conversations. It's called difficult conversations. It's because once you can have a difficult conversation, you can get through anything. And difficult conversations are not really difficult. It's only that we don't know how to have it. So that's why in the last chapter of my book is difficult conversations, because it's essential. It's essential for the relationship is to be able to have the difficult conversation. It's about when this is like this, can you please? And it has to be from both sides. That's the thing. If you're being controlling, then you do need the other person to actually step up. There are two people wrong if you're controlling and nobody says anything. It's not.
So if the other person doesn't want to have these difficult conversations, then what do you do?
Well, you know what? They're not
Men
that
often
hard to
don't.
have. No, but
Eh?
they're not that hard to have. It's if you already have somebody who's kind and caring and committed and loving, then it is just to do it in an easy kind of way. Like, there's this thing I've been thinking about, and it's not really so hard, so can we just have a small little conversation about it? Like, it would help me a lot if you tell me that I'm controlling, because I really don't want to be, and will you please help me? We have had a difficult conversation. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to go away for a weekend and lock yourselves in a room to have it. You can actually you can keep it light. It doesn't always have to be heavy. And when you already have something good going, it doesn't have to be. It enhances your relationship. And two people who work together on the relationship really does make it better. But and it's one of the things which is important in a relationship is that two people work together. And talking is, for me, the most important of all. We need to speak and ask, and we have to hear. We have to hear and be heard. And then you can get for absolutely everything. But it takes two people.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's happened with us, and Jeff is listening, so I hope he's okay with this, but is that I would show up to say, I'm wrong. I've done something wrong. I acknowledge it. And he would say, no, you're fine. Everything's fine. And then that was quite confusing for me because it was validated in a way, my behavior, which I knew wasn't appropriate because I'm awake enough and aware enough to know what is and isn't appropriate. So that made it a little bit harder for me, I think, than if he had said, yeah, no, you're right. That's not great. Hey? And this needs to change. But yeah, having said that, it's still my responsibility for my behaviors. And the interesting thing is, I think I even became a narcissist actually in this relationship, and I was with narcissists all the time. And I'm like, interesting.
Self-centered, self-centered, self-centered. Okay, let's call it that. There's too much connected to narcissists, because remember, we're all supposed to have a little bit of narcissistic behavior in ourselves. We'll be kind to ourselves in order to be in balance. But very often, people are too controlling because of their fears. So you control everything because of fears, and you don't have to. So it's great if somebody says to you, lighten up a bit, it's fine, or let's go and have fun a little bit, or just like, it doesn't have to be so heavy, or so, let's just move a salt 1 inch to the left and see if the sun stops shining. It's fine. Or let's do it tomorrow. Nobody's going to die. The dishes can stay in the sink. I promise you, the dishes can stay in the sink. Nobody has ever died of it. I'm still here. So if somebody else is there and they are the yin to your yang, then we have a good team. We don't have to be the same. But if we balance each other out and we support each other and not enable each other, then we have a good team. We're not supposed to enable each other. We are supposed to call each other out. But we're not supposed to take a responsibility. Nobody is supposed to take responsibility for you being self-centered. Let's call it that, because that's your job. But they can say, what, this is maybe a little bit out of balance. Maybe we can get into balance here. But it's not even a big conversation. It's like a notice, and you can't work on anybody else. Somebody else must be willing to work on their own worthiness and to say, I'm worthy of being treated better. You can't do that. And you can't take responsibility for that. And you cannot play, you can never play small so that somebody else can be big. And you can never go and put boundaries for somebody else on you. That is their job. And it's healthy for people to have boundaries and to have no's, because that makes a balanced relationship.
But one thing I can give myself credit for, after years and years of repeating the cycle of the same types of relationships, I got a different one. And lots of people don't break that cycle. Okay?
Yeah, it really does mean that you've moved somewhere, because otherwise we just keep on repeating it, and we do not get that love and connection that we crave. It really is a big thing.
It's amazing how many times we repeat it. I mean, some people stay married for 20 or 30 years in these relationships, but I went from one to the next over 15 years. I had 4 or 5 of them. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it is true. And you either have a different different people, same relationship, or otherwise you are in a relationship and you keep on having the same stupid fights over and over and over, the same stupid fights, and you just don't get anywhere. Let's check out our comments here. Let's quickly see. Okay, there. No, you've lost me, babe. I've lost my moorings here too. You're going to have to be more specific, Paul. Let me see if I can understand it. Yeah, the extreme pain is good. Let me see why. Maybe there's something before. No, that was the first question. Now try. How does it end? No, this is too cryptic.
Explain yourself.
Yeah, no, are you getting it? Because I'm not.
No, I don't get it either. How does it end? Well, maybe do some relationships have to end, Louise? That's another question. I mean, I think I used to hang in far too long. Recovery is extremely selfish.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll read that one now. Okay. I don't like relationships ending too fast. I don't like relationships between unhealthy people ending. If people are healthy and they find out that they really don't want to be with each other, it's a whole different story, because remember that we are growing all the time. And so the reasons why we get into relationships in the first place is not always a reason, a valid reason where we are growing to. So especially if we get into relationships to be fixed and fix somebody else, by the time we don't need fixing anymore, we have to go like, what am I still doing here? Then you have to really like each other. Sorry. I've just found out that chamomile tea and honey is really good for a sore throat. Really good. Yeah, a little bit of chamomile tea really helps for a sore throat. It's like wonderful. It's very soothing. So where was I? Now I don't know where. I started talking about tea. What am I thinking?
You're talking about ending relations. Should we end a relationship if it's bad?
All right. So end the relationship when you've really tried. Don't end the relationship where you are unhealthy, because your job is to learn in that relationship before you go to the next one. If you want to end it anyways, you might as well start learning some behaviors. You might start by putting some boundaries and ask for some love and support, because we're scared to do it in case we lose somebody. But you already don't care because you actually already want to run. So go practice on that relationship before you go to the next relationship and get the same person again. And in the process, you might just find out that you start liking each other again, because now you talk to each other like humans, because all of a sudden you are not blaming, shaming, judging, pushing away, running and withdrawing and punishing and being nasty and mean and controlling. Once you start talking better to each other, and then you can start seeing each other in a new light. And because you get happier inside yourself, you don't have all these unreasonable expectations of other people anymore to fix you. And then any relationship has a chance. So at least before you run, and I'm not talking when there's violence. When there's violence, run. Or hit back with a very heavy pad. But I'm talking about relationships that are not working. If there's not violence, and especially if you have somebody else who's already willing to work with you, work on it. You've got nothing to lose. You want to run anyways. So most relationships have a very good chance if two people want to work on it. But two people must be really committed, because it's not easy. It is hard work. There is the messy middle, because now we are teenagers, or not even toddlers, learning to walk, and we don't know what we're doing, so we mess up. We put boundaries, and we do it in a wrong way, and we use our counseling, and we use it as a weapon against each other. You codependent, don't be codependent. Now we use it as a weapon. But you know what? That's better than going to sit in the corner with I'm not talking to you. Talk to the hand. So go and do new things and have new fights. That's fine. But learn in your relationship, because you never know. And when you do that and you start communicating again and you work on yourself, all of a sudden the magic comes back. And it does.
Yeah.
It really does. So, yeah. So I don't have an answer for you, Antoinette.
No, I didn't need an answer for myself. I just think
No,
in
I
my
mean for
past,
people.
I hung on too long in some very bad relationships, thinking I needed to fix it and change myself. But actually, the right thing to do would have probably been to leave, because I had no way of fixing things the way you're saying now. I just didn't have those tools, you know.
Yeah. But if you're inside that relationship and you learn how to respect yourself and you learn how not to engage with somebody else's stories and you learn how to say, I wonder if she's looking, if she's watching tonight. Are you talking to me? You will know. If you're watching, you'll know I'm talking to you. Are you talking to me? Like, yes, that's how you react to somebody who doesn't know how to speak to you. That's how, not to get annoyed and go sit in the corner or to shame somebody. You never talk nicely to me. That's not how you're like, you're talking to me like that. If you do that right in the beginning, you are teaching somebody this is not a girl that you are going to be wanting to talk to that way. You want to be with this girl. You're going to up your game. And guys too. It works the other way too. There's mean girls who use men. They are hurt people. They are damaged people on both sides of the spectrum. And in gay relationship and in straight relationship, there's like no discrimination. We all have got the same insides that hurt, and we want somebody there, and we don't know how to do it. Let's go and see what Paul says.
Is Paul the only one here tonight?
I don't know, where's Norma?
I don't know.
There?
Oh.
Paul, me and you both would have gone to the narcissistic side from self-protection, hey? Before we got better. It is for sure. I know that too, because I was so over-controlling that it would have come off as being narcissist. So I'm glad nobody asked me about that. Okay, let's see this. Okay, so how does the conflict end? You're still too cryptic. You're going to have to come as a guest so you can explain yourself.
One loses one's moorings. I can kind of understand that. Sometimes you get so lost in the, I don't know, the codependent, blah, blah, blah. And if there isn't strong, open communication, it can be confusing, I think.
Yeah.
But
I think it's for codependence maybe, but I don't know, that Paul's referring that if you are codependent and you're depending on somebody else to fix you, then you don't have moorings. You lose your moorings because you put your moorings into the codependent part of the other person, and so you don't have moorings. So that that would be a really good way of not having anything of stability, because somebody else is not able to be your mooring. You have to be your mooring. Hi, Cindy. Glad you made it. Hi, Claudia.
hello, Claudia.
And you must go and watch it. You must go and watch the rerun. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you, Paul. Now we understand. Yes, because we are codependent. Exactly. Because we've put all our eggs in that basket. We've put all our trust, and it was the relationship that fixed us, but it didn't fix us. That's the problem. It felt like we were fixed, but it didn't fix it. It felt like it fulfilled us. It felt like it fixed the hole in us, but our job is to fix that hole ourselves, so that we don't lose our moorings ever when a relationship goes away. You can hurt, and it's fine to hurt, but you don't have to fall apart. You can be very sad when a relationship ends. You can do your mourning, But you don't have to fall apart because you always still have yourself. And if you never had yourself in the beginning, you're going to fall apart. So it's really important to make sure that you develop yourself. It's non-negotiable. It's like you are not a happy whole person until you're happy to be on your own. I'm not saying be on your own. I'm saying it's part of your growth to be happy on your own. Don't go be on your own, because we all are human. We want love and connection and somebody else in our life. We need that closeness to make us really our most fulfilled self. Okay. No skills at all. Paul, you are too cryptic tonight. You need to write some essays here so we know what to say.
I'm interested in why Paul said you have to be narcissistic to be in recovery. Do you think that's true?
No, yeah. Okay, so listen, this is how it is, which nobody understands, is that not narcissistic, that's okay, so the scale of narcissism, if you go back, and it's by Jung. It's Jung's research. It's a scale of 1 to 10. So narcissistic disorder is 10, and on number 1 is when you are not the mop or the bucket, you are the slops that gets chucked outside. Okay, that's number 1. Now, to be healthy, you have to be number 5. So you are supposed to have narcissist in you, because we all have. A baby is born that way. I'm hungry, it screams. It's hungry, it screams. It asks, it gets subdued along the way and loses this ability to take care of itself. But we are born that way, to be able to take care of ourselves. So we don't want to be a 10. We don't want to be that slops that gets chucked out. It's a number 1. We're all clear on that. We want to be a number 5, where we love and respect ourselves, and we are in balance. Because there is, and this is what Paul's, I think, referring to, there is no selfish in the recovery. You have to put yourself first before you can be in a healthy relationship, before you can have more to give to the world. You have to fill yourself up. Nobody can give from empty. In order to do that, you have to be on number 5. 4, 5, 6, you don't have to be like perfectionistic. I'm sliding off here and I'm going to be wrong again. It's just like, take care of yourself, have wants and needs, ask, have boundaries, have non-negotiables. That is really, it's so exciting when people have boundaries and non-negotiables, and they can actually say it to you. It's actually exciting in a healthy relationship to get to that point. It's really good. It's sexy. Right?
Really?
It really is. Look, I'm married to somebody who's just never known how to. I mean, it's like, you're a nice guy. So it's just like never knew how to put a boundary on me. He would sulk. That's not sexy.
Or become passive aggressive. Passive aggressiveness.
Passive aggressive. Oh, so good at it. Master of it. And ignore me. Ignore stuff that's important to him. So it was like so messy. No, now it's like, yeah, this is the thing that I want to go to. Okay, right? Now that's sexy. That's sexy. Somebody can take
I like that. I like this.
If anybody needed incentive. Just saying. Just saying, Jeff.
Good stuff.
Saying.
Good conversation, Louise.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we've got some questions, and then okay. Codependence, I'm assuming, Kathy. Is that a yes? Give me a thumbs up, please, so I can know.
Yeah, how did we cure what? Or how did she cure what?
Wait, let me see. Let me first answer Kathy. I'm just waiting for the. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about codependence. Yes. Okay. It's basically what I've just described. It really is basically exactly what I just described, which is you have to start loving yourself. But with codependence, there's one thing you have to watch. Codependence is when you're willing to give up stuff that's important to you in order to please the other person or to fix the other person or to calm the other person down. So it's when you start giving away little pieces of yourself, but little, very important little pieces, but you give them away, self-respect goes, self-care goes, self-love doesn't exist because you keep on giving away and you don't ask for yourself. So you become other directed instead. The other person must make you happy. So this codependency stops inside you. You start learning how to love yourself and respect yourself and use your voice and use your choices and use boundaries and asking for what you want in order to not wait for somebody else to fix you. And you stop wanting to fix somebody else because it's not your job. And you stop controlling the other person. You don't let somebody control you. Sorry. Chamomile tea. And so you become happy in yourself. You learn how to speak to the other person. And you ask that people speak to you. And both grow up to be strong individuals. So that you have your own roots. I can't talk anymore. We have to fix it. We have to end this. Sorry guys, my voice is going.
Your throat is sore.
I've talked too much. You haven't talked at all. No wobbling.
Me, I have talked. I've talked quite a lot, I think. This operation calmed me down a bit, slowed down my mouth as well as
What did we cut out? What did we cut out?
A great effort has to be made to lay down new neural pathways, being self-absorbed. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You have to focus on it. It's not easy. Okay.
It's a daily work, yeah. But being too self-absorbed, I think being too self-absorbed also doesn't enhance the process of recovery. There's a balance, actually.
It's balance. There has to be balance in absolutely everything. Okay. All right. So anybody has questions, you can direct message them or you can post them in a thread. And then are we doing this again next week? Hey?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Between us, we're back. We're back. Yeah.
Yay. That was great. Thank you for everybody who was here. And thank you, Louise.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I did get his permission to do this. So thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I had to get Jan's permission to talk about our relationship too, because it's my story. I own it, but it is respectful to get somebody else's to be okay with it. And you know what I do have to say, it's I think it's fine when somebody really works so hard on it. I think it's fine if you say it used to be terrible, because just to get from that, it gives other people hope that you can recover. You don't have to be stuck in codependency all the time, and you can become. You can work through a lot. You can really work through a lot. You can work through great hurt if two people are determined to do it. But it's work. I'm not going to be kidding anybody. This is not.
And it does take two. It takes two. And I think that these conversations are important, because how many people have codependent relationships and they don't even know?
Most people have it. It's some people.
So let's have some good ones now.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, come here. I might get divorced tomorrow after this. I'll let you know.
It's fine. I've got some openings for counseling next week. Okay. Yeah, it is. It really is. Claudia, I want you to know it for absolutely sure. The power to transform your relationships is in your hands. It starts with you. When you change, everybody around you changes. And so it just starts with you. It's just one step at a time. Promise you. Just like it. Okay, guys. Love you lots.
Okay. Love you too. Good night, everybody.
Wait. I'm looking for the song. No. It's I'm always looking for that song. I always go look for the song. I forget about the song. Okay. Wave again. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Love you. Bye, Jeanette.
Bye, Louise. Good night.